It's Tom Beal again, and I have a very special guest who's going to be presenting from stage at Commission Expo this September 25th through 29th, and you want to be there, but it's an honor and privilege to have the one and only Stephen Alvey with me today. Stephen, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, great to be with you, man. Pleasure.
Awesome. Now, Stephen, for those who don't know you, I can just share this story. I didn't know who you were, and then all of a sudden it's like a rocket ship. You came onto the scene, and now I'm seeing your name on leaderboards. I'm hearing you talked about all over the place. For people who haven't heard of you yet, can you give them a brief insight as to who you are and how you made such a splash in the internet marketing world and community?
Yeah, sure, man. You know, it's funny you say that. I've been hearing a lot of people saying that lately. That's kind of the story of the last 3 years of my life, man. God's been good to us. It's kind of a stereotypical story. You know, if you've heard about 1,000 people tell this story, you know, one day I was sitting there at my computer. My 9-to-5 job was the Air Force. That's what I did for a living. And I was on a guard shift there at the 97th Intelligence Squadron. And I was sitting in front of a computer, and I typed in the words, how to make money online. And I did not have, as far as I knew, an entrepreneurial bone in my body, but there were things I wanted to do. So I wanted to augment my income a little bit. Mm-hmm. And that just opened up, you know, the floodgates. You know, you've heard that before. You maybe experienced that yourself, you know. And so I did that. You know, I did the standard thing where you're buying products all the time, and you're, you know, getting dragged in this direction and that direction for 3 years. And 2016, to be my own boss. You know, it wasn't for all the virtuous reasons of being an entrepreneur. It was literally because I didn't like having to get up in the morning for somebody else. You know, I had 4 kids and a 5th on the way.
Wow.
But I said, you know, I'm going to walk away from this career. And it was a great career. I didn't hate my job, but I walked away from that and took the plunge, did the internet marketing thing. And one of the lessons I learned, and this is a big one, is that you have to make your own thing. You know, you have to create your own product in some way, shape, or form. You know, you can't just be the passive affiliate exclusively. You know, you can eventually get there, but you got to create your own thing. That was a big lesson that I learned, and that's what we did. In 2016, I launched my first product. It was a standard JVZoo product launch. It was a software app. You know, it exploded. We got product of the day and all that good stuff, and you know that lesson has propelled me forward. More product launches, and because of those product launches, now I'm on leaderboards. Now I'm an affiliate, you know, promoting other people's products and that sort of thing. And as you said, you know, it comes with the territory that suddenly people start seeing your name and seeing your face everywhere, you know, just sort of out of the blue, you know. So that's basically my story, you know. Tom, you've been in the industry for many years. You've probably heard that exact same thing many, many times. And it always revolves around that idea that you've got to launch your own thing at some point if you want to, you know, make that change, you know.
Correct. In the overnight success that happened in 3 short years. Right. So the dedication.
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
Right. All of a sudden, yeah, overnight success. Yes, but you saw the opportunity, you seized it, you put the proper work in, and learned how to do it along the way. Came across some mentors. I believe Omar and Melinda helped you on that journey. Is that fair to say?
Boy, I could not have done it without them. If it wasn't for Omar and Melinda, I would be on the job market. In fact, I've got a funny story about my first product launch. I don't know how much time we have, if I can segue a little bit, but my first product launch, Tom, was going to be an absolute failure, absolute failure. And it all came back to, I won't get into details, but I did a very lazy job of recruiting affiliates. I'm kind of a shy guy by nature, you know, so going out and trying to get people on board was difficult for me. And Omar and Melinda pulled me aside a couple weeks prior and told me some things, and they have a habit of doing this. You know them well, telling people things that most people won't tell you, you know, telling you some hard truths. And they laid the hammer down, and they saved that launch. I ended up kicking it down the road a couple of weeks. They saved that launch from being a flop, from being an utter failure. And because that was my first launch, if that one hadn't gone well, Tom, I would have done what most people in my career field do when they leave active duty. And that is, I would have gone and been a contractor somewhere, you know. I'd be on the job market if it weren't for that. So yeah, Omar and Melinda have been a huge part of my success, man.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of amazing to hear, and congratulations for listening, right? You had the open-mindedness to listen to somebody who'd already been down that path. You put the ego aside, and you're like, all right, these people know what they're talking about. Let me consider what they're saying. You made the adjustments, and then it turned out to be a success. And what I love here is it's coming full circle, is now that your success is something you want to share with and help others save going down the paths of the dead end, and for the, you know, to throw the white towel of giving up in, and show them there is a way to make it. So can we give them a brief peek? Those who are watching us here, they're considering, and some of them are joining us at Commission Expo Live. Some of them are considering getting a ticket now. What exactly, why they want to be in the room, because what you're going to be sharing from stage at Commission Expo, can we tantalize them as to the nuggets of wisdom you're going to be sharing from stage?
Yeah. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's going to come down to a transformation. Okay. The main thing I'm selling here, the main thing I'm trying to get people to wrap their head around, is a transformation that has to happen from being a buyer to being a seller. Mm-hmm. From being a person who consumes stuff to being a person who creates and produces the stuff, Yep. And that's absolutely, it's critical. Nobody gets anywhere without making that transformation. Sometimes it happens consciously, sometimes it happens subconsciously. For me, it wasn't until months after my first product launch that I realized that transformation had happened, in my head. It was sort of, retrospective. Mm-hmm. This will sound bad, but it's kind of like once you've seen how sausage is made kind of thing, suddenly you're not buying all of these products that are being launched. It's not a qualitative thing. It's not because they're bad products, but you realize I don't need that because I'm a producer now, I'm a seller now, Mm-hmm. And so that mindset shift, that transformation from one stage to the other is absolutely important. And so there's a few aspects that I'm going to get into. One of them is how vital it is to have your own flagship, mm-hmm. your own flagship product, your own flagship course, your own flagship website, whatever it may be for your brand. You've got to have your own core thing that defines you and gets you out there, even if your primary way of making money is not going to be selling your own products, because some people like the idea of mainly being an affiliate, or maybe being an advertising agency, where you're advertising other people's stuff. It's incredibly important to still have your own core identity, your own brand, your flagship of some sort, and your own unique, mechanisms, your own unique selling propositions. And one of the best ways to do that is to just have a core, class, a core master class, a core product of some sort. And the best kept secret, and this is getting a little bit more in detail about what I'm going to be talking about. The best kept secret in this industry is licensable assets. All right. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's PLR, private label rights. Sometimes it's white label assets that you take and you rebrand. But that's the ultimate shortcut. And the word shortcut has kind of a goofy stigma attached to it. I'm sure you've seen that. But it really is the ultimate shortcut to sort of having your own thing. Is the ability to, in a smart way, take and leverage existing assets and bring them in and own them and make them look good and be part of your brand. It can save you a whole lot of time, a whole lot of heartache. And there's right ways and wrong ways to do it. In addition to that, I'm going to be peppering in all sorts of cool secrets, man. I'm going to be sharing, one of the things that people keep scratching their head when they see my name pop up out of nowhere on leaderboards. A lot of these people know that I've only got like 3,000 people on my email list. People are like, why is this guy, at number one on this leaderboard? Or why is this guy, at number two, going head to head with this guy who's been in for 20 years in the industry. Yep. And all of it comes down to some pretty snazzy email marketing secrets we've been using in my business for the last 3 years. There's going to be stuff like that I'm just going to be gratuitously giving to the people who are smart enough to be at Commission Expo in the room. I really can't wait for it, man. It's going to be an absolute blast, and I can't wait to give some value to the folks who show up.
Man, I am excited to be there. What people you'll witness when you're there at Commission Expo. Yes, I'll be the MC. And yes, I've been hosting my own events and attending events for 13, 14 years now, yet I'll still be there taking notes. I guarantee you'll see me taking notes as to what Steve is talking about, because that's the great part. Whatever you're doing, whatever level of success you've achieved, you're going to pick up some nuggets and some insights that can help take you from whether you're a beginner looking to get some initial momentum, an intermediate, get some decent results, want to take it to the next level, or an expert just totally rocking it already. You'll learn exactly what you need to do to bring it to that next stage. So I'm excited to meet you in person, Stephen. And being that we haven't met yet at an event, let me ask you this. Have you gone to a live event yet?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So
yeah, I've been to a couple of live events.
Can you share with those who are contemplating saying, man, I really want to go to Commission Expo, but for whatever reason, they haven't made the choice and purchased their ticket yet. Can you share the differentiator that comes by making that choice and choosing to be at a live event such as Commission Expo?
Yeah, it's non-negotiable. I mean, it's non-negotiable. You have to go to live events in general. You especially have to go, to the creme de la creme, the Omar and Melinda event, because they're, you've seen this before. You see some events that are pure pitch fests, you know, you don't get a whole lot of value, you know, unless you pay for it and stuff. When you go to an Omar and Melinda event, you know, I mean, the fact that they've got you emceeing it just is evidence of this. They pick the right people. You know what I mean? They pick people. I mean, I've been to an event hosted by Omar and Melinda, man, where I saw, you know, Paul Counts, absolute, you know, rock star with email marketing. I saw that guy, you know, just out there dishing out his secrets left and right, you know, without even, you know, a sales pitch, you know, just giving out things that you wish you could learn from someone, but you usually can't afford to hear those things, you know. Yeah, there's no other word for it. It's non-negotiable. And you will notice a trend there. Most of the people who make it in the industry come to these events, you know. It's not something, you know, it's hard to define why necessarily, but there's a positive correlation between people who show up to these events and people who end up being successful in the industry. You know, if you're hemming and hawing over the, you know, oh, I've got to spend, you know, $100 on a plane ticket or this or that, you know, or I don't want to, you know, commit 2 days, you know, out of the month to go to this thing, get comfortable where you're at, because there's a good chance you're going to be there next year. You know, if you want to move forward and grow, you go to these live events, man. And there's plenty of reasons for it. One of the reasons I've noticed this, people share things, Tom, in private. And by in private, I mean, you know, whether it be around a mastermind table or, you know, at the hotel bar, you know, in the evening after the event, people share things that they don't usually share. Yep. You know, people enjoy the wow factor of me being able to, you know, you and I are sitting across from a table and I've got a secret that I've been using in my email marketing, and I want to wow Tom Beal. I want to wow this lady who I've never met before. And so I brag a little bit about what's working for me now. That happens at live events. I've got some pretty cool little gems just from that happening. And that doesn't usually happen in online courses or web classes, you know. There's another thing, and this is, you know, a lot of people know that you have to launch a product these days. Okay. It's and I say have to in air quotes. It's in most cases, that's going to be your path to success, is launching your own product. The biggest deal, no matter how cool your product is, no matter how awesome your sales page is, the biggest factor that gets people to, or, you know, holds people back from succeeding there, is getting those dang affiliates on board. You know, getting big name super affiliates on board, or getting them to even give you the time of day to respond to a message on Facebook. It's really, really difficult. It's not because they're jerks. It's because they've got 5 million other people out there trying to get their attention, you know. If you are at a live event and you have shook someone's hand and you have shared some words with them, or you've bought them a beer, you know, and you know, you've made that human in-person connection, you have 10x your chances of getting a person interested in either being an affiliate or maybe even partnering with you on something. You know what I mean? Like that's a real phenomenon that actually happens at live events all the time. You have a significantly higher chance of hearing those words, those life-changing words. Hey, that sounds cool. You know, hook up with me on Facebook and let me know when that's done, because I want to have a look, or I want to look into maybe promoting that myself. Those words can, you know, start a new chapter in your life. You know, those words can sort of be the one thing that makes it for you, you know? Yes. So, making that in-person impression with potential affiliates or potential partners is a big part of it. Learning nuggets from the stage, you know, learning nuggets of wisdom from the actual speakers. Like I said, not all events are created equal. You know, you've seen those events where most people are, you know, they tease a little bit, and then, you know, if you want to learn what they actually have up here, you got to pay some money, you know, then at the end of a sales pitch, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know. But Omar and Melinda are notorious for getting those people on stage who are going to share life-changing stuff, you know, in their presentation, you know, and you got to be sitting there taking notes. I'll give you an example of, you know, John Cornetta. He was out in the Warrior event in 2017, I believe. And man, I had just finished my second product launch. And I got into a mode, and this is very common for, especially when you're new to being a vendor. I got into this mode where I had anxiety attacks every time I thought about my support desk. You know, things weren't even that bad. We have a very low refund rate that I'm very proud about. But, you know, you got people yelling at you about not having their login details and stuff like that. And if you've never experienced that before, it might sound like a silly thing, but it's real. You know, if you're not a customer service agent, you can have some serious anxiety about dealing with thousands of customers, you know, especially if your product launch goes that well. And I remember what John Cornetta said, and his talk wasn't even about this. And this is why live events are great, because people will just say things even if it's not the topic of their presentation. His little nugget that he delivered was, step one, no matter what you do, outsource your customer service. Go to the Philippines, pay someone, $200, $300 a month, and have them handle your support desk for you, so you don't even have to think about it. And it's not going to cloud your mind. You're not going to have your anxiety issues. You're just focusing on growing your business. And I'd heard that before, but hearing it in person and in the level of detail that I heard it from John Cornetta, Tom, I went home. And I remember it like it was yesterday. The next day, I was sitting in my backyard. My kids were running around making noise, and I was on onlinejobs.ph hiring my next virtual assistant to be a customer service agent. And I've done that multiple times since then. And my business, I mean, it sounds cheesy, but my business today is what it is in a large part because of that one nugget that I learned from stage.
Right.
So it's really, really impactful. And the final thing I would say, and this is it's not as substantive, in the practical sense, but it's lonely being in the internet marketing niche, man. It's easy to forget that the people who are struggling with you, or the people who you're working with, or that you're an affiliate for, or that you want to come on board your product launch, it's easy to forget that they are real. You know what I mean? And it's easy to think that you're kind of all alone, just floating around in this internet marketing thing, and being at a live event, especially if it's your first one, and realizing Exactly. Yeah. You're the only guy who's suffering from this stuff.
Yeah, right.
Being at a live event and realizing that the guy next to you at the table has been through the same journey you're on, and you're sitting there, you're eating dinner, or you're having a beer at the bar. It's so incredible, man. I mean, it's hard to describe it. It's motivating and motivates you to get up there. You're creating the relationships with each other to hold each other accountable. It's so fantastic, man. Yeah. And that's, I could say much more. I don't know how much time we have, but boy, I'll tell you right now, it's a non-negotiable. You have to get to live events if you want to be successful.
That was brilliantly explained. And there's, like you said, there's so much more value, but you have to take it as that non-negotiable. Like if you're serious about growing your results, growing your business, it's a must. The common denominator, as Stephen laid out, is everybody who's reaching those high levels attends live events. And they do so for the reasons that Stephen just outlined for you. And that's what we want for you. And what you'll find is exactly what Stephen said. Omar and Melinda bring together the people with not just the great results, but with the awesome heart, who really get as much joy out of producing those results for themselves and their family as they do helping others have those breakthrough moments to go succeed at their own individual businesses. And that's what they want for you. And that's what we want for you. So Stephen and I look forward to seeing you at Commission Expo. If you haven't received your ticket yet, if you haven't made the choice to get your ticket yet, I would encourage you to do so now. Make the choice. I'm going to this live event. I'm going to secure my ticket now. And then obviously work out the other details, the travel, the hotel, all that. But it begins by making that choice to be there, and watch how, just like Stephen said, just like I've said, it can and will be a transformative event for you. That just like I can look back on events, and Stephen has outlined a couple events that changed his trajectory, this will be the event that changes the trajectory and results for you. So I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Stephen, for anyone who's just hemming and hawing and like, yeah, I like it, but you hit on a key thing you did after event. You actually took action, right? Because a lot of people can hear good things, and then if they miss the taking action part, it all disappears. So if you hear this, you're like, yeah, you're right, I'm excited. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Tom. I'm going to get my ticket. Well, I'll get it later. How can you stress how important it is to just do it now, and not just to get the ticket, but when you leave the event, do what Stephen said. Implement the key things that are going to be the needle mover for you in your business and results.
Yeah. If you want to move from point A to point B, you've got to go and buy that ticket now. You've got to do it now. If you put it off, I mean, we're human, we're weak. You know what I mean? And if you put this off, you're going to put it off for good. I mean, Tom, these tickets aren't even half as expensive as they should be, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? I mean, goodness gracious. There's no reason not to grab these tickets, get to Orlando, do it right now. It can, Omar has a nice saying. I don't remember if he worded it this way, but it's the bifurcation of your life, kind of, where you look back and you realize, oh, that was in that chapter of my life, because we bought a house. And so everything since then is in this new chapter of my life, Live events can be that, and it's not something you want to put off until later. It's not something you want to be a maybe. You need to get over there, buy your ticket, and hopefully I'll be seeing you guys in Orlando, buying you a beer and having a great time out there.
I look forward to it. Stephen, crossing paths with you, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to you watching this, being in Orlando, to seeing you there as well. And it's in a few days. So when you're watching this, you got to get your ticket right now. So find the URL, go get your ticket, and we'll see you in Orlando in just a few short days. Thanks again for your time, Stephen. And by the way, I served in the Marine Corps for 4 years. So as you did in the beginning, thank you for your service.
Boy, yes. You're a braver man than I. I'll tell you what.
While we were on field ops, we're living in the tents in the desert, and we're looking at the hotel. We're like, that's where the Air Force people are. So yeah, I was jealous.
It's true too. That's where we were.
Yes, exactly. So thank you.
Great talking to you, Tom.
Seeing you in Orlando. Thank you. Bye for now.